Welcome, readers, to Rukhsana's Book Club. Today's story is really interesting. I chose this book called Frederick, and it's a very odd story. And the word for today is rebuttal. Rebuttal. And rebuttal is like a counter argument. Now, rebuttal is kind of a counter argument. And the reason I use the word rebuttal, because I really know stories. I've been listening to stories for since I was a kid. And one of the stories I remember hearing as a kid, I think it might be part of Aesop's fables. And it's called The Ants and the Grasshopper. And the way this folktale goes is that all summer long, the ants worked really hard and they were gathering food and they were getting ready for winter. But the grasshopper just played and sang. He used his legs, rubbed them together, and he sang songs. And he thought, the summer is so nice. I'm just going to play, 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 play. And then when winter came, the ants were all prepared. They had food, they had everything. And the grasshopper, he hadn't made any preparations. He didn't gather any food. He didn't do any work. So he had nothing to eat. And so the grasshopper starves and the ants are fine. Okay, they last until the next spring when they can go out and work hard again. This book, I think, is a rebuttal to that story. That story is basically about making preparations and hard work. The people that do hard work get rewarded, okay? Basically by surviving a hard time like the winter. But this book, and look at, you can see that there's a prize on the book. So this book, when you see a medal like that on the book, that means that enough people in power thought that this book was exceptional. So they gave it that kind of an award. It's actually a Caldecott honor. And the Caldecott honor, in a weird way, is that the Caldecott is actually given for the illustrations. But the illustrations, honestly, I don't think the illustrations were that great. The illustrations, basically the artist just took paper and ripped it. Okay. I think anybody, Taha and Isra, you need to take off your camera. Thank you. So the anybody could do these kind of illustrations. I don't even think that they're that great. Okay. But the story is interesting. It is a rebuttal. Now, I like the way the story starts. All along the meadow where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. Okay, so the author, what he's doing is he's setting up this story so that we know, okay, it starts in a place where there's this old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. Now, see, these are all the mice. And there's one that's black and the others are brown. Now, do you think that's Frederick? I think it is. Frederick is mouse. But the farmers had moved away, the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night, all except Frederick. Okay, which one is Frederick? There's Frederick. Okay, in this picture, all the mice are kind of a gray, which is weird. Before, some of them were brown. This time they're gray. Like I said, all of the mice are working hard to prepare for winter. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. Does that make any sense? Hmm. So Frederick there is kind of sleeping in the sun, and he says, I am working. I'm gathering sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, and now, Frederick? And so what are you doing now? I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. Hmm. The way it's written, it's actually pretty good. The words are actually really good. And once Frederick seemed half asleep. Are you dreaming, Frederick? They asked reproachfully, but Frederick said, "Oh no, I am gathering words. For the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say." Hmm. So here he's sitting and it's like he's dreaming, but he's not. He says, "I'm gathering words." The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the five little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. So now winter started. The snow is starting to fall, and they went into their winter hideout in the stone wall. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. You see, the thing is that when people are together, they need to entertain themselves. Like they have to think of other things, and they tell stories. Okay. And one of the things they can do is they can tell religious stories, they can tell all kinds of stories. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Okay. They're all kind of getting grumpy because they're starting to get hungry. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. "What about your supplies, Frederick?" they asked. "Close your eyes," said Frederick, as he climbed on a big stone. "Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how their golden glow?" And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the four little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? It's not magic, but it can happen where if somebody talks about something warm and you're really cold, you can start feeling warmer. "And how about the colors, Frederick?" they asked anxiously. "Close your eyes again," Frederick said, and when he told them of the blue periwinkles, the red poppies in the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if they had been painted in their minds. So when he was gathering colors, he was looking at the different things in the field and remembering them. Periwinkles are definitely blue, okay? And poppies are red and all those other colors. And the words Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, "Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the four-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? Four little field mice who live in the sky, four little field mice like you and I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are four? Think of a year with one less or one more." When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. "But Frederick," they said, "you are a poet." That's really interesting. He's actually an artist. Frederick blushed, took a bow, and said shyly, "I know it." Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording now.